As a student applying for investment banking, there's oftentimes two types of scenarios that you'll fall into. Scenario 1. You're a sophomore at University of Pennsylvania or in School of Business, and you pretty much have a line of alumni that you can talk to. And you're already in two of the several finance clubs available at your school. You already have a set of upperclassmen who you're close to who are going into the role in finance that you're interested in. And when you do a simple LinkedIn search, there are thousands of names that pop up. Then there's scenario 2. You're a sophomore at Georgia State University. And here you're going to need to network at least 3 times as much as you did if you went to a target school. There are barely any finance clubs, if any. There's no banks who are coming on campus for you. You might be extremely capable, but unfortunately there just isn't a strong recruiting system for your school available. If you feel like scenario 2 sounds somewhat familiar to you, let's dive into what your strategy should be when you're applying for investment banking or other roles in finance. So coming from a non-target, you have to accept that your chances of graduating into a top investment bank is much less likely than if you went to a target university. It's not impossible to do so, and students from non-targets do so year after year after year. All I'm saying is that it's a lot more difficult, but there are ways to increase your chances. One of the most important, so I'm going to name it first, is to focus on your internships. Now this can already be difficult coming from a non-target, but if you don't have alumni or a school reputation to speak to your accomplishments and your capability as a person, then you need to rely on your internship experience. In terms of the types of internships, you want internships that are as related to the job you're interested in as you can. Second, GPA is very important. You want to be one of the best people coming from your school. Because unlike places like Harvard or UPenn where they already have a set amount of slots available, they're not going to be taking as many people from your school, and so you want to be one of the top performers there. I'd say you want a minimum of at least a 3.6 or 3.7 to be safe. From a strategy perspective, it really doesn't matter what classes you're taking. Ideally, you want to be a finance major. I know there are a lot of people who go into investment banking who are in something completely unrelated like philosophy, political science, English majors, but pretty much all of those people went to a target school or an Ivy League school where they already have the school's reputation and a huge alumni system to back them up. Third, use a standard resume template. There's a very standard template that's used to apply for all of these investment banking jobs, and you want your resume to look at least in format similar to someone who went to a target school, because they're all gonna have these alumni who polish and read and help edit their resumes. I also offer resume help on my Patreon as well, so that's another resource too. Start networking early. Networking is going to be one of the most important things that you do coming from a non-target, because one of the biggest advantages that target schools have is their alumni base. And when you're at a non-target, you have to be a lot more active and you have to take initiative. If you have a finance club at all at your school, upperclassmen or alumni from those finance clubs are a great way to start. Second, I would do a search on LinkedIn and find anyone who has some kind of connection to you, either from college, high school. They could be a family friend, your ex-girlfriend's cousin, whatever. One of the benefits of reaching out from a non-target school is that a UPenn alum probably gets hundreds of emails, but if you're a Georgia State University alum, you probably seldom get emails. So the students that do reach out to you, you're going to be a lot more focused on them and wanting to help. And another tip, at the end of every phone call, you have to make sure that you ask for a referral, whether it's through your thank you email or directly at the end. Fifth, very important, before you start networking, is to figure out what investment banking is. Since networking is going to be such a core part of your strategy, you need to be knowledgeable of what you're actually saying that you're interested in before you do all of these calls. Be educated on what investment banking is. For example, an investment bank has many different functions. You're applying for the investment banking division. Know the purpose of it in relation to the other functions within an investment bank. Know the difference between coverage and product teams. If you're talking to someone saying you're interested and you don't even understand what the job role entails, then how does that show that you're actually interested? You have so few alumni to talk to begin with. You want to make the best impression possible. 6, have a LinkedIn profile. Probably goes without saying. You don't need to reach out to people on LinkedIn. You don't need your friends to give you those recommendations on LinkedIn, but you do want to have your school and any relevant internships listed, so when you do email someone, they can easily search you up and find that you have a LinkedIn. Of course, have a professional photo and just make sure that you're presentable. Also, do a quick Google search of yourself, see what comes up. Companies are going to do the same. The people you email are going to do the same. Make sure that there isn't anything inappropriate, maybe private your Instagram or your Facebook or something along those lines. 7, study. You don't need to take a finance or an accounting class to prep for investment banking. Learn it all through a bunch of different resources. My YouTube channel is very helpful, and one that I always recommend is Financial Edge. I always recommend them is that they actually do training for the top 4 investment banks, and so you're going to get that exact same training through their online courses. I'm actually partnering with them for this video, and lucky for you, they're doing a 50% off promo for Black Friday. To access it, check out the link in my description box below. And this sale will be from November 24th to November 27th. And if you so happen to miss this sale, don't worry, because I have a promotional code that you can use for 25% off their courses at any time. It's Angela25. So go check them out. A lot of my subscribers have gotten the course and I highly recommend them. And 8, and perhaps one of the most meaningful and important things to understand, is that you have to be casting a wide net. I'd even recommend going for smaller fish as opposed to bigger fish first, and I'll explain why. Many students from non-target universities focus and waste a lot of their efforts purely only recruiting for the biggest firms like JP Morgan Chase or Goldman Sachs. And while both of those firms have large intern classes, they also have the most applicants applying for them, which are a lot of the times largely from target schools. So if you're a non-target, you should be reaching out to both large and small firms. If you're applying to a smaller, lesser known firm, you're going to have a lot less applicants competing with you. And one of the strategies I recommend is first applying for some of these small firms, and once you have an offer in place, you can actually go to a larger firm and tell them that you have an exploding offer from this other great middle market or smaller firm and ask that they would be willing to give you an interview. Outside the typical bulge brackets and elite boutiques, there are a few types of banks that I recommend that you guys take a look at. The first actually is just bulge brackets in satellite cities. Most bulge brackets are headquartered in New York City. However, if you're based in the US, they also have a lot of other satellite cities that they are based in. For example, a lot of them have Houston, San Francisco, and Chicago offices. So if you're willing to go to one of those cities to work, a lot of the times there's going to be less demand and less students applying to those offices. Second is regional banks. There are banks not purely located in New York. There are Boston banks, Chicago banks, San Francisco, etc. Those tend to be a little bit smaller. They oftentimes focus in on a specific industry purely due to their location. And for those banks, they have desire for top talent, and they typically recruit a few analysts or interns every single year as well. Third is middle market banks or foreign banks that aren't as big. They also have less demand, but oftentimes you'll get very good work experience. They have the same deal flow, but they just usually work on slightly smaller deals. And lastly, a little bit less known are accounting/consulting firms. A lot of them, like KPMG or Deloitte, actually have an advisory arm that you can work in, so you're going to get the same transactional experience again. You're just not working at an investment bank, but it's very much a prestigious name and the same kind of work. And if your ultimate intention is to go to a bulge bracket firm, as long as you get your foot into the door into a stepping stone role or a smaller company, you can always jump to the role that you actually want later on. Finance is very much a revolving door. There is massive attrition in the role. People are moving in and moving out, so there are always new opportunities available. And then next thing you know, you're at the bulge bracket firm of your dreams, and leverage that to get into any investment banking exit opportunities. Go do your Harvard MBA program afterward, become president, rule over the world, do whatever you want. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. I'll include some resources down below in my description box for those who are interested. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It means so much to me. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!